Okay, everybody, it's Glenda, and tonight we're getting into the cartoon, a whole cartoon character of the orangutan king. Everybody, I've done some work on this king of orangutans here. Tried to make him look more like an orangutan. Instead of the big face, I really wasn't liking that because we want to put a crown on this guy. So, and I've tried to give him his fingers. Of course, I'll be putting some fur around it once this dries, but they won't hide. But he's just kind of sitting back there, so I'm not going to have to do his feet. Anyway, that's going to be the start. Yes, I said start of this here King of the Orangutan cartoon. Okay, some of that is tree. I'll just put some grain in there. This orangutan cartoon is going to center around the king, but it's also going to involve his family. He's going to have a couple of youngsters, toddler age in our world, and their mommy. Their mommy isn't really going to show up in here, but he's going to be getting very agitated, aggravated. And that is the look I'm going for. It's that he's going to look aggravated because these two little prince and princess are just old enough to be climbing all over him, but not old enough to know any better. There you see he's got a little groan there in his teeth, with his teeth showing, but it's not like he's going to bite anybody. He's just growling, just groaning, probably wondering where's your mama. But mommy is off getting nanners, as kids would say, or bananas, which we'll be putting in the picture later. But they're off getting some good ripe bananas. And so they're going to make some banana stew, which pretty much means they're going to mash up old bananas and just feed it to the kids. And they'll give him the good bananas because he's the king. I am going to at a later date, try to put that in there. But, okay, I'm going to start making banana leaves. Banana leaves are very big. And I don't know if I've got all of this correct as far as what everything looks like, but excuse me, I'll take that out. Anyway, banana leaves are big. They're very big. They're so big that people can cook whole meals in them. They'll put food in them and they'll wrap them and they'll tie. Actually, I think they use like the banana strings or whatever to tie them, and they'll just set them on the fire. And when it's done, they'll just pull it out and have a whole meal with its own plate. If you've ever seen, watch some video from somewhere else where they actually did this, then you probably know what I mean anyway. But yes, they do make full meals in their banana leaf, and then they use it as their plate. It's evidently a very strong leaf. I don't know how thick they are, but they must be pretty thick and pretty well made. Now I'm trying to put veining in here. It isn't showing up. And so I'm just going to be forgetting that for now. That's something I'll come back and do a later time. Right now I'm just going to paint them in all green because it just doesn't make sense to do this. this way. Okay, get myself put together here. These banana leaves, I'm making them good sized, but normally you can see them in the top of the trees. These are kind of falling or fallen, and these are the ones that people will gather up and use to cook in, unless they've gone up and decided to pick them off the top. I don't know. But now the bananas themselves, they grow on a different kind of a little vine almost. They aren't in they aren't in the leaves. They aren't surrounded by the leaves that I know of. They just uh, I got sidetracked. I'm sorry, but they sure do use them. And but the bananas, they do grow down from the top and even lower, and it's odd the way they grow. They grow very. I mean, they are attached at the top of the bunch because gravity wouldn't allow them otherwise. I mean, they are so heavy that if they were attached at the bottom, they would just flop over. That's pretty common sense. But anyway, they grow what we would say is the top of a banana, of yeah, a banana or a bunch of bananas. That's actually the opposite on the tree. I know that I don't. Maybe when I paint them in, that'll make a little more sense. Right now, I'm not sure how I'm going to make it. Okay, yellow's a hard color to work with, but that's the color of bananas. Okay, I have a little bit of a hard time starting the bananas here. I'm not quite sure how to do it. I know how they look in a picture, but that doesn't give the foundation and the how the the exactly how they are formed and all that kind of stuff. It just shows them from the outside. It doesn't give the inner structure. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. How do all these bunches of bananas stay together? So I'm trying to make this long brown kind of a vine type thing here to have them grow around. And it sort of works, but I think it would have been better if the next time I only show the top of the vine. I don't do the whole vine all the way through because it just doesn't make sense because it ends up getting muddled and showing. And because like I said, yellow's a very tough color. It's hard to get it to really be opaque. It wants to get a little transparent, and so you have to give it several coats. And so right now that's I'm trying to do, and I'm still when I look at it, I do go back and fix it, but as I look at it, it's like, okay, I'm doing it wrong because what I'm doing is I'm putting the top of the bunch at the top, and that's not how they grow. What we call the top of the bunch is at the bottom. Very confusing until you see it. So I'll try to figure that out and fix it, but I'm just kind of struggling here for a minute, thinking I know what this is supposed to look like. Do I need to go and look at it again? How do I do this? You think you know what you're doing when you get started, and then you figure out, not real sure about this part or that part. But we do get some bananas in. What do you think of him? Does he look kingly or what? Bring him in there so you can really see that crown. Anyway, the king of the orangutans is going to be pestered. And that's why that little snarl. Well, good night. Love yous. Share that smile and wave. Yeah, I got it zoomed in a lot, so because I was zoomed in on him. Anyway, good night.